The forest was silent under the moonlight. Only the sound of footsteps and clinking metal broke the stillness. A young man named Obadiah was being dragged through the dark woods by two men. His wrists and ankles were bound with heavy chains, and his clothes were torn. Though tired and wounded, his eyes still burned with strength. The men forced him forward, talking about the faraway land where they would trade him for gold. But fate had other plans. As they moved through the uneven path, one of the men tripped on a root and fell. In that moment of confusion, Obadiah acted. He pushed the other man with all his might, grabbed a nearby stone, and struck the lock on his chain. The iron cracked, freeing one of his hands. Without waiting, he ran into the deep forest, his heart pounding like a drum. The men shouted and ran after him, but the forest swallowed him up. The night hid him, and soon he was gone. When morning came, Obadiah collapsed by a narrow footpath near a small village. His body was weak and covered in dust. A farmer named Maduka found him while returning from his farm. Seeing the young man's condition, Maduka carried him to the village square. But when the people saw the chain still hanging from his wrist, they grew alarmed. They called him a captured wanderer and took him to the community's holding house. In that land, anyone found in chains was kept until the end of the year, then offered to the king as a ritual of renewal. Obadiah's heart grew heavy, but he said nothing. He had escaped one cage, only to fall into another. Inside the cold, dim prison, Obadiah met Neka, a quiet young woman with calm eyes. She, too, was a prisoner, though no one knew her story. Days turned into weeks as they shared food, silence, and whispered dreams through the night. Slowly, they became close. Their friendship turned into something deeper, a gentle affection born from shared pain. One night, under the faint glow of the moon that slipped through the cracks, Obadiah told her his secret. He revealed that he was once a prince of Oguta Kingdom, not a servant or wanderer as everyone believed. He had been betrayed by his promised bride, Adana, who lured him into the forest and handed him over to those who chained him. His voice trembled with anger and sadness. Neka listened quietly, her eyes soft with understanding. As the time for the ritual approached, fear filled the air. Then, one night, Neka gently shook Obadiah awake. "Obadiah," she whispered, "we must leave now." She led him to a small opening behind the cell, a hidden tunnel that no guard knew existed. They crawled through the darkness until they emerged into the forest once more. The air outside was cool, and the stars above seemed to light their path. They walked for hours, through tall grasses and over streams, until the first light of dawn touched the sky. When they reached the borders of Oguta, Neka suddenly stopped. Obadiah turned to her in confusion, but she only smiled sadly. "My journey ends here," she said softly. "Why?" "We can finally go home," he pleaded. She looked at him with eyes that seemed to shine with light. "Obadiah," she said, "I am not like you. I am a spirit of mercy, sent to protect those who suffer unfairly. I saw when Adana betrayed you. I brought justice to her heart, and I came to guide you out of darkness." Obadiah's eyes widened in disbelief. "Then all this time, you were never human?" She shook her head gently. "My task is complete. Now I must return to where I belong." He reached for her, but her figure began to fade as the morning sun rose. Her last words echoed softly, "Be free, Prince of Oguta." As the golden light spread across the horizon, Obadiah stood at the edge of his homeland. In his hand, he held a broken piece of chain, cold, heavy, and yet strangely comforting. It was a reminder of all he had lost, all he had survived, and the mysterious love that saved him. With a deep breath, the chained prince took his first step toward freedom.